Hello everyone, welcome to TED's Academy. As you can see a question being displayed on your screen, we'll be discussing today how to score good marks in logical reasoning. Now, logical reasoning questions are being asked in almost all the competitive exams, whether banking, non-banking, SSC, company secretary, or otherwise in CLAT, CAT, MAT, everywhere you can see that any field tests you over reasoning, and specifically we'll today look at the logical reasoning aspect. We'll see what all type of questions are being asked on logical reasoning sections. We'll see that what skills are needed to analyze and enhance your speed and accuracy in logical reasoning section. Now, the question that must be coming in your mind is that who am I? So, as you can see on your screen, my name is Amit Jithani. I am a BTech in Computer Sciences and I did my Masters in Criminology and Criminal Justice Administration. I am a UGC NET qualified assistant professor as well. And I have a passion to help students in critical thinking, to help them in critical thinking and problem solving. I've been developing a lot of critical thinking questions of lately, and most of all, I have been engaged with not only just the national level students, even the international community students who are preparing for Cambridge AS and A-level exams, which has a specific test paper on problem solving and critical thinking, and it is summarized as thinking skills. So, I think it's enough for my introduction. I can move on to the main thing, and the main thing is that we'll have to look at what all type of questions that are being asked in logical reasoning. Now, when we talk about logical reasoning, I can always categorize them into two broad classifications. One of them is always deductive reasoning, where the conclusion always follows with 100% necessity. Okay, so even if you have been doing quantitative aptitude, it is somehow you are doing deductive reasoning, because in there also you get answers which are 100% probable. Other aspect is inductive reasoning, where the answers follow from the premises with some kind of a probability. Okay, so based on these two reasoning, we have two types of logics also. Like, we can divide them into formal and informal. The formal logic pertains to deductive reasoning, and informal logic pertains to inductive reasoning. Okay, now in both these type of categories, you will see what all type of questions are being asked nowadays. You must have dealt with syllogisms, and if you don't have, then, like, for example, I would say, I just throw light on that. You must have seen that there might be two statements given in a question. One of them says all A are B, or some category is given, all men are lawyers. The second statement also is somehow like some A are B, or some lawyers are rich. And these type of questions are called categorical syllogisms, where you have to take the conclusion, you have to find out the conclusion from the given two premises. Other than that, there are other syllogisms as well. There is a hypothetical syllogism, a disjunctive syllogism. Okay, but categorical syllogisms is something which is being asked nowadays often in a lot of exams. Okay, the second one you can see as on your screen, Venn diagrams and data sufficiency questions, the third one. Okay, now when you are solving questions about categorical syllogisms, you must have used Venn diagrams, and you must have tried to solve them also. Now, the main point is that what I have to do is I have to make you understand that what all things are required to solve these questions accurately and in a speedy manner. Okay, so we'll look at that aspect in the coming slide as well. Right now, we just look at the type of questions that are being asked. Okay, the second category you can see as informal logic or inductive reasoning, where we identify the assumptions, inferences, missing conclusions. We identify course of actions. Okay, we identify flaws in an argument. We pertain to causal reasoning. We identify the cause-effect relationship between the two statements that are being given. Okay, So these are the type of questions that are generally being asked under the main umbrella of critical thinking also. Okay, critical reasoning also pertains maximum of the critical thinking. 90% of the questions pertain to these type of questions where you have to identify an assumption, we have to identify a conclusion. Okay, that is missing from the whole set of text that is being given. Okay, so what all things you have to consider when you are solving these type of questions? Let's move on to the main point. How you will approach these questions, what you have to consider when you are solving these type of questions. I'll start with an example also, so that we have to consider these points, and then obviously if you consider these points, you will be able to solve these questions accurately and in a speedy manner. Okay, so like for example, first of all I'll take a statement. The statement says that there is smoke arising from the hill. Now this particular example is a very classical example from Indian logic, where a reasoning is being provided according to the statement that is being given, that the problem is that there is smoke arising from the hill. So according to your perception, you must say that yes, there must be fire on the hill, because you have perceived that wherever the smoke arises, obviously there is presence of fire. This is a very good reason for that, very good argument that you have given for that particular explanation for the problem being mentioned in that statement. Okay, so what I am trying to say is that if this is 100% good and a valid reason, so it has to be very much highly inductive. It has to be 100% bang on explanation of the problem that is being mentioned. Okay, so what first thing that you have to do is that to get that such bang on answer, you have to stick to the basics. Okay, so if you are very clear with your basic thing, like if you know the concepts of critical thinking, you know what is an assumption, you know what is an inference, how a particular argument can weaken or strengthen, then obviously you would be in a much better position than the one guy who is also taking part in that particular paper and who is not relevant to the concepts of critical thinking. Okay, so you have to have these qualities, that set of qualities that I have mentioned here also. These qualities also help you to identify logical reasoning aspect and solve the questions accordingly. Like the first one here says, the second one here says intellectual humility. The third one is like, what is intellectual humility? If you will take intellectual humility, is like you should be always ready to take new evidence into consideration. Okay, you should be always ready to provide immediate solution to a problem. It should not be like very far off from the right answer. Okay, you should have very strong, you can see that strong induction between the two things, the statement and the argument. You can see that it has to be logically coherent also. It should not sound, and we'll see in the next slide that how it sounds very vague, ambiguous, how you can make that reasoning, like if I change my argument to something else, how I can make this logically incoherent or illogical. Okay, you should always have far reaching implications. The implications should be very far sighted, that like it should have universal acceptance, I must say. Everybody should accept that answer. Like if I say that if smoke is arising on from the hill, then obviously there must be fire, because that is what I have perceived, and it has a far reaching implications, because most of the places wherever the smoke arises from the hill, there is fire on that particular hill. Okay, and it's a universal connotation. Okay, so it has a very good acceptance level, I must say. Last, accurate cause-effect relation. You have to identify accurate cause-effect relationship. It has to be highly inductive. It has to be bridged into each other. Like for example here, statement and argument are completely bridged together. Okay, there is no way out. You could say that fire is not the reason for smoke coming out of that hill. Okay, so you need to have that accurate cause-effect relationship. Okay, now the last point comes as credible authority. You have to look at the credible authority also at times. Like if the the expert is not that much credible to answer that particular thing, you might doubt it, you might be skeptic about it. So when you solve these type of questions where basically your thinking skills are being judged, so the parameter that these parameters would actually help you to stay on the upright position, to stay on the right side of critical thinking. Okay, you should not go contrary to it. But like when you are considering good things, obviously you need to consider the bad things also, that what you should avoid to actually score good in these particular questions. A lot of students say that it's very ambiguous, like critical thinking is a bit ambiguous, but I would say that if you consider these intellectual qualities, these habits, obviously there is no ambiguity at all. You should always stick to your basics, you should always have that immediate relief thing, you should provide those course of actions which provide immediate relief, you need to have that induction factor with them, you need to have credible authority, you need to have intellectual humility. All these exact things you should consider. But what you should avoid is also very important. Let's see what you should avoid to actually score good in this particular logical reasoning section. The first point that I am writing here is again the same example I am taking. There is a smoke arising from the hill, and suppose what answers we get. Suppose a person says okay, and he's okay with that. That's it. So you can see he has the approach that he has taken is of dogmatism, where he doesn't give any reasons that why smoke is arising from the hill. He's just too ignorant, too foolish to take any good reasoning for that. He's okay with the information that you have given him, and he's taken and he said okay, that's it. So he's not too much of critical thinking there, he's not logically present there, I must say. So these are the things that you have to avoid. You have to avoid a dogmatic approach. Second, it says that you have to be very relevant. So obviously you can't be irrelevant about things. Like if I say an irrelevant answer as it must have snowed heavily this year, do you think that snow coming onto the hill has a direct cause-effect relationship with the smoke arising out of the hill? Obviously a lot of students, you would say, no sir, it's not possible that having a lot of snow on the hill, still there is smoke coming from the hill. So obviously there is no cause-effect relationship between them. It's highly irrelevant to say that. So you have to avoid irrelevance, and you have to avoid these things to score good in your critical thinking or logical reasoning section. Then comes the point of subjective relativism, like what all other people say, you also say that. So that comes under the bias of subjective relativism. Like if I say smoke always arises after summer, it's a very generalized answer to that particular problem that is being mentioned, that there is smoke arising from the hill, because everybody says that. That's why you also said that smoke always arises after the summer. So you are just relating your subject, you are not thinking objectively, you are being too much subjective about it, not very relevant to the right answer. Okay, and you have to control your emotions. That's what the next point says. If I say that, oh, the hill needs blessings, so these are some kind of an emotional statement. You have to avoid those statements as well. Okay, then comes the point of personal opinions, where you are thinking too much into your previous gained knowledge, you are not being logical about it. If I say smoke is injurious to health, which is highly irrelevant, highly non-inductive to the problem statement that is being given, that smoke is arising from the hill. So it's just your personal opinion, but you are not pointing towards the right reason that why smoke is arising from the hill. Okay, and if you have wrong presumptions, when you are taking assumptions which are absolutely incorrect, like if I say that smoke always arises from the hill, I assume that, and I say, and I put an argument in favor of that. In that case also, here also, I am absolutely incorrect. Okay, because I am taking a wrong presumption. Smoke always never comes from the hill. It's a very hasty generalization, I must say. Okay, it's like too much hasty generalization. We'll see that how things become hasty generalization. We'll see in the last point. The second last point says oversimplification. You have to avoid oversimplification of things. You have to identify more causes not just only one single cause, or you can't confuse between the sufficient and the necessary conditions required to a particular effect being taken. So you have to identify all the correct consequences, not just one single consequence, and then you will say that this is the only reason that smoke is coming from the hill. For example, if I say that the only reason for smoke arising is hot weather, so this is absolutely incorrect, because there might be other reasons for smoke coming. It's not just only hot weather. Okay, so I am being oversimplified here. So these things you have to avoid when you are attempting a logical reasoning question. Okay, and the last thing, very important, the hasty generalization thing. If I say all hills have fire in the summer, so that means I am completely saying a generalized thing which is not very specific. You know that all have hell. It's not possible to have all hills to have fire in the summer. You need some kind of a discounting to be done to maybe make your reason acceptable amongst the audience or the population who's intended to hear your argument for that. So we have to avoid hasty generalizations, which is actually very inaccurate in reasoning. Okay, so these are the things you have to avoid. Okay, and these are the things, if you consider in your mind as a good or a bad quality, like good is something that you have to take when you are attempting these exams or these questions specifically, and bad is something which relates to the avoidance of things which are being given here. Okay, so I hope if you consider these things, you will be able to score good in your logical reasoning section. To score good marks, to be more accurate, you have to be more speedy. If you are sticking to the basics, you don't need to worry about anything. Okay, so I hope this particular session was very informative and very much in detail explaining that how you would score good marks in logical reasoning. Must be very helpful, I guess. So I'll keep that much, and I hope that you like the video, and if you do that, we can have more video in this series. Okay, bye bye and take care.